This is going to be a good conversation because we've had a day. I've had a day for sure. My 50 millimeter broke, dropped on the ground, broke. My mirror back here fell over, surprisingly didn't break, but nearly killed my model. Not even joking, it would have fallen on her head. Pictures I wanted to happen didn't work out. So sound didn't work on the live stream at first. I don't know what else we can do. But we are starting off the very first, or maybe very last, Convos with Winos. And or very last. Convos with Winos. And we have Courtney here. If you're watching on YouTube, you have the link down below where you can find Courtney. And if you're watching on Instagram, go to these stories right now, in fact. Go back in my stories, swipe up to the live stream link that's right there on YouTube, or you can go to youtube.com/Vanessa Joy and join us on this live stream. Why are we doing this? Aside from the fact that we need some wine. By the way, the wine that we are drinking today is L'Abbe Syrah. It's a Syrah. I'm big into red.
Huge into red.
Huge into red. Courtney's into red. But why are we doing this? Well, we went out for lunch the other day. Mm-hmm. I was a grump that day also because I had way too much work to do. I was very grumpy. And we started talking about Courtney, who has been shooting for freelance and editing video, by the way, for how long? 7 years at least?
Yeah, 8-ish? Yeah, close, yeah.
8 years.
Crazy.
However, what she's done now is gone out and started her own business, right? And tried to get her own clients rather than just be freelance. Mm-hmm. And so you were telling me, you can explain it, your initial thoughts on this.
It's so wild transitioning from a 9-to-5 or even working for someone else in a freelance spectrum. And I think I saw freelance as working for myself, but it wasn't totally working for myself. And so it was interesting to get in a conversation of what does it really look like to work for yourself and how does that differ? And you basically just blew my mind by telling me exactly what my life looked like in one sentence. And I was like, yeah, this.
What did I say? I sound so wise.
And you were just saying how much free work you have to do, how many hours you have to put in, and how you don't really see the return on that right away. And that is exactly what my life has been like. And so it just made me feel seen and heard, and that's where this conversation started.
And to reiterate, free work, I don't mean shooting for free. I meant like the hours you're putting into marketing, to your business, to working in your business, not on your business. And
writing content.
And ultimately what happened is we're like, let's pause this conversation and have this, because I know there are so many people that would want to hear this conversation. So if you want to continue hearing this conversation, you got to go to YouTube, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Vanessa Joy, or just head to my stories and swipe up when you see the Convos with Winos thumbnail. So bye-bye to you. Come join us on YouTube. All right, so, oh my gosh, where to even start? And thank you guys, by the way, in the chat. I'm going to be kind of going back and forth. I have questions that people have submitted on Instagram. I'd much rather them in the YouTube chat so I can talk to you guys about things here. And then we have questions just in general, or struggles, stories, things to talk about, aside from how bad my day was already. One of the first questions you asked, which I thought was really interesting, is how do you go from that mentality of like that 9-to-5, and I'm reading it off here, to being self-employed.
Yeah.
So what are you finding is the most difficult about that?
Well, it's just being able to dismantle it, or even recognizing it, I think is my big thing. So being able to realize that sometimes when I feel pressured or I need to be already here, it's because in my head I feel like I need to be getting a paycheck the same way I was in a 9-to-5.
Why aren't they sending me checks every 2 weeks? I don't understand.
And that's a terrifying feeling, to just feel like you're not making it, or you're behind if you're not getting paychecks consistently. But then the plus side I learned from being in my own business is that it can also look like getting more money than you ever would in a 9-to-5 all at once. So there's the balance, and I think preparing yourself for that switch of mentality has been a tricky one for sure.
Yeah.
But a nice one sometimes.
It is. I know that I find the financial planning to be very difficult, and you guys can tell me if you agree in the chat, because you're not just getting money that's like yours to keep. You're getting money that you have to dole out to taxes. You're getting money that you have to dole out to people that you're hiring, or stuff that you have to buy, or marketing, and all of these things. But I want to structure this mostly where like you're asking the questions. So I know you have a pretty notebook right there.
I do.
I don't want to read your questions to you. That would be kind of weird. I'm going to glance in the chat while you do that. Oh, good. Hey, everyone. Hey, Dad's Photo. How you doing? Robbie, thanks for joining. Robbie, I promise I'll tell you a story. Definitely will. Ooh, here from Instagram, Cooper, thanks for joining and coming over. That's fantastic. It's working. Yay. Oh, lots of people. Now they can hear us. Look, everyone's really happy about hearing us. Fantastic. Dennis, how you doing? Alex, how you doing? Alex Greco. And late but made it, Mike James. Thank you. Thank you.
You're not late. You're right on time.
You're right on time. We haven't been doing anything but drinking. So I'll let you take it away with some questions, and then I'll grab my phone from you, Charles.
Yeah.
Because I have more questions there too we can get into. Cool.
So I have, obviously a bunch of questions to ask, but I think the biggest thing that I found, and will be my first question for you, is that when I started being a business owner, the thing I couldn't find was people talking about what it looked like, successful people now that are thriving in their business. What did it look like in those first days, those first weeks, those first months, that first year of actually starting your business? Not just, yes, I was where you were and now I am successful, but
it's like you said this, craving details, because you hear that a lot. And when you hear that, by the way, it's like, yeah, I was where you were and now I'm here. They're just trying to sell you something that tells you how to get from point A to point B. In the beginning, I distinctly remember I was living at home when I started my business. I remember sitting in my parents' living room designing my website. I remember giving it to people hating it, people loving it, giving me their feedback. I worked another job for 3 years or so. And then, it took 3 years of working 2 jobs, building my business and being a Spanish teacher, actually, until I could quit. That's how long it took for me to save enough from both income streams and then to build up the income stream from photography enough to switch. And 3 years probably sounds like a really long time, because most of us just look at Instagram lives and, oh, she's doing it. She looks like, meanwhile, they're probably side hustling, or maybe their spouse earns a little bit more. Maybe they were living at home, like I was first living at home. Whatever it is, that is a really good one. Like, what does that actually look like? It just looks like a lot of late hours. I would come home, I would get up early, go to school, come home, and work more, and not really see my friends or family. And I remember making so many mistakes. I remember the very second wedding I shot under my own company. She hated the photos, rightfully so. I didn't know how to light yet, so they were bad. So I remember the very first review I got on Wedding Wire was a bad one. And it's a lot of hustle. And it took 3 years to build it up to where it was a full-time gig. And I think people expect it to happen in 3 months. Like, it's not. It is not happening in 3 months by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, hey from Australia, Jeffrey. How you doing? Hey, Gabby. Thanks for joining us. Lisandro Garcia. Did I say it right? And Edward, we got lots of people joining us. All right, I have one of these questions. Oh, this is good. This comes with one of yours. How do you distribute? This is from Frady Lubarina. I picked the one with the hardest name. I'm sorry. I think it's actually Frey del Lubarina. How do you distribute your budget? Man, what are you doing right now? Do you have another job?
So I pick up freelance still. I feel like I'm still in that mentality of making sure that I have side gigs booked so that I'm good to go. I don't know that I'll ever give that up, to be honest, just because it's fun and I love working with my friends, and that's just a part of the freelance world. But it is a part of needing to make money right now for myself. but in terms of how I break it down, is that also your question?
Yeah, so you get a paycheck from a client, it's $1,000.
Yeah, so 30% immediately I just put into taxes. Actually, I put that specifically in...
That hurts.
I've learned, though, to make a little bit of money from it by putting it in a savings account that grows
There you go.
interest. So maybe it's a couple dollars.
Maybe it's a couple cups of coffee.
but that's fun. And I'm trying to let myself feel like that's a win. And then I start separating it in increments after that. A percentage goes back into my business, a percentage goes into other areas. And then if I have to pay people, if I have to like pay what, equipment I rented or anything like that. And then my take home eventually, which is a much smaller portion of that original.
And here's my pennies that go to my box of wine. Ronald Warren actually just asked, where is the best ROI for your marketing dollar?
Ooh, do you have an answer for this?
I have an answer for this. There is none. Okay. I was just talking to actually who I just saw in the chat. Where'd he go? Shaco. I was just talking to him yesterday. We were walking around New York and talking about, where do your clients come from? That's what you said. Where do sales come from? Like these people just apparate and appear, and they don't. But there's also not one answer. Guys, get it in your heads. There is no magic yellow page anymore that you're going to just be able to buy the biggest ad and there come all of your sales. If you're in the wedding business, there is no one wedding planner that you're going to connect with that's just going to let you ride easy for the rest of your life. It does not happen. Wherever your focus is, wherever your heart goes, that's where you're going to see the reward. So for example, 2017, I was doing a ton of workshops, Head Chef Boot Camp with my friend Moshe Zisman, and all of my effort was going there. Therefore, not as much of my effort was going towards marketing myself in the photography business. I saw a wild drop-off in clients. I had to switch my attention to marketing and cast a wide net. You have to do the networking. You have to sometimes buy paid ads. I buy a paid ad on Wedding Wire. Sometimes you have to experiment with Facebook ads and Instagram ads, which I've done that. I will say the best, or at least my favorite return on investments have been networking, because I end up working with people I actually like, what a concept, and Instagram. Instagram has been pretty huge. So that's where I found the biggest ROI.
I love
Hey Patty, how you doing? She remembers the yellow pages. Oh, thank you, Andrew. Very excited to be an explorer of light. I don't know how they feel about me drinking in public, but I don't know. All right. I love that you guys are starting to answer questions in there. The chat is kind of blowing up. But I think you had a question about Instagram. We were talking about that.
I have a couple around Instagram, but specifically the first one that comes to mind is about content creation. And I know that batching is a big thing, but continuous content creation, being consistent with that and making sure that you have if you're going to do it daily, if you're going to do it how many times a week, and how are you continually coming up with that content and knowing that you're drawing a larger story or bringing in the right people.
Yes, all of those things. So my plan, I want to attract brides. At the same time, I also want to attract creators, photographers, videographers, because they get a lot out of my content. My goal is always shifting. It's another thing people look for pat answers about. It's, is there a certain formula to Instagram? And there is. And then you solve it and then they change it. So, yay. Right now, I am posting every single day. And my social media manager and she lays out the photo and I approve them. But, let's just talk about before I had a social media manager. So I would lay everything out using Later is one of my favorite apps. So you can batch it so you're not actually in the app getting lost in the black hole of social media. And you are color coordinating it, which you do really well. Guys, check out Courtney's Instagram in the link. She really color coordinates very, very well.
Thank you.
Yeah. And lately, because of Instagram hiding likes and all of that, they are looking at other forms of engagement. So posting things that are savable. I don't know, 5 tips. Next time you wake up super tired, right? People will save that.
Right.
The save tab is huge right now. Or having people engage in the comments, which might be something as simple as like, guys, do you like the black and white or color photo of this? Or actually, I did this maybe like 3 posts ago. If you go to my Instagram, Vanessa Joy, you'll see, which photo do you like better, the 1 or 2. And even if they're not commenting, they're still like swiping between the carousel, and that's engagement. So there's a lot of ways to do that. As far as creating content, we have no excuses because that's what we do. We get paid. Other businesses have to actually go outside the realm of what they're doing in their business and create content, but that's actually what we do. So, Instagram, it doesn't always have to be the same thing all the time. You'll see mine looks more like a set of pictures, but like a set of 6 that match, another set of 6 that match, get a little theme. But yours actually looks way better than mine.
What? Get out of here.
I think so. Dirt Diggler Metal Detecting says, how did you drop your 15mm lens? Well, I went to pick it up to change my lens, and it just flew out all by itself, and it fell on the ground. Actually, it did work right away, and
We
then
got knocked off.
and then didn't after. They knocked us off?
OBS quit on me.
Oh, so what do you do?
I have to restart it. It's not restarting. Oh wait,
Is it?
never mind. We're still going.
You're still on? Oh, okay.
I'm an idiot.
Gianni, by the way, big hand to my husband who's running everything
Nah,
back here.
screw it. Yes,
The
I
first
apologize.
YouTube stream. Well, you've done YouTube streams. Gianni says, can you give me advice on whether to buy an EF 135 or just wait for the rumored RF 135? Well, what camera do you have?
Good question.
Because if you have a DSLR, then the RF isn't going to do any good. You can't convert it back. If you have a mirrorless, I don't know, maybe hang out. I haven't heard anything. I know people think that explorers of light just like know the roadmap. I've got no clue. No clue. I know immediate things, some things, but I can't tell you anything about. I know people are rumoring about the different stuff here. So this is a good one from Cooley. How do you handle updating your samples?
Ooh.
Do you find, so clients that you have met with, do you find they're asking for samples other than your online portfolio?
Not really, actually. I think it's either my website just does the trick, or my Instagram does the trick, or they ask for my portfolio outside of finding me on Instagram, and that's it. That's
it.
Yep, that's been it.
I would say the same thing. I mean, I have all these sample albums laying around here, and they're beautiful, but not that many people come in. Oh my God, it's so heavy. Not that many people come in and actually look at these. And even when they do, I'm like, please touch my albums.
They're so pretty.
They are really pretty. I update my samples whenever I have, a wedding that I really adore. So definitely most of my favorite couples are in here. And if there's a good sale, like right now, my Lad Miller's Lab is having 40% off all of their sample albums. So that's always a good time to update samples, especially in the off season when you're not doing anything. But don't go crazy. Even having the studio space, I did fill it, but there's not that many people necessarily coming to look at it all. I look at it all.
I love it.
Cool. Let's get back to some of your questions that you
Yeah.
have there.
And I also want to, I also wanted to add something too that on Instagram I find that I have a draw to make content not just of photography, but then also writing. And I think that's where I start to struggle with content creation because I have this backlog, obviously, of photographs, but then I'm like, what do I speak on continuously that connects? And I don't want to just post a photo. So I don't know, do you ever find that?
Oh yeah,
to be?
you can look at some of my captions and it's like, yay shoes. I don't think every single post has to be some kind of breakthrough experience for those who are reading it. Sometimes it's
Sure.
content for content's sake, and sometimes there will be less likes for one and more engagement on the other. But that's not to say that, for example, we posted on my Instagram, we have a beautiful photo of a bride and then a photo of the groom next crying as his soon-to-be wife was walking down the aisle. Then the next photo was another pretty, just a bride. The two brides got like 1,300, 1,500, 1,600 likes, and the groom was like trying real hard to push past 500.
So wild.
Yeah, and you know, I said to Amy, I'm like, oh, well, I guess my audience just really loves the girls. They don't like guys. But she said, you know what, maybe the couples that you're actually trying to reach are the ones that are going to like that. And it might be less, but that might be your client. Right?
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's powerful.
Oh, all right. What else we got here?
Do you want me to throw another one out?
Yeah, throw one of yours.
All right. Another thing that I am very interested in and I play with in my current schedule is what does it look like, or what did it look like for you in the beginning to structure your day as a business owner and to really be benefiting from that structure and not push yourself too far, but also definitely have something that's reining you in and is a workflow that can work.
Wow, that's hard. I work too much because I enjoy working.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I don't have to feel motivated to work. The work will motivate me. But there is something to say about having that kind of structure for those mornings when you wake up and you're just on the floor and you don't know what you want to do and you can't get up and you're not feeling motivated. My day right now is structured by my kids. I wake up in the morning. I try to exercise before they're awake. Usually they wake up in the middle of me exercising, so that gets kind of ruined or whatever. And then, you know, Rob is here, so he's with the kids, hopefully. Then we have breakfast, and then my childcare starts at 9. So right at 9 o'clock, I start kind of organizing my day. I look at the calendar, I see what I have, you know, appointment-wise or things I have to do. And then I figure out what I can do in each block of time. But the most important thing that you have to remember is don't spend your whole day putting out all the fires. Because there's always going to be a lot of fires. You have to dedicate a very good portion, especially when you're first starting up, to work on your business instead of just in it. Because it's very easy to just, okay, I got to fulfill that order. I got to respond to that client. I got to do this and that. And it's only going to get worse or better, obviously, if you have stuff to do, clients to answer. And then you end up never working on your business. I know Charles here just went to a Tony Robbins conference, and he has a whole list, the business conference, of the things that you should be addressing. Like once a week, let's look at the marketing plan, or, you know, once a week or the next week, you know, let's make sure that we look at our products. How can we, you know, up them? Or the next week, make sure you look at the customer experience. How can we enhance that? And it goes through all these different parts of the business. I didn't actually look at the whole thing, but that's what you want to make sure you do. The working on the little things, or, you know, that are in your business and you're in it and you have to like do this and this and that, those will always come at you like a big flaming ball of fire. You have to know, all right, maybe you set aside time during the day. Every day for an hour, I work on this. Personally, I do full days because working on my business lately means getting all the photographs that I need for my graphic designer to upload to the website. So that took a while, you know, sorting and resizing and all of that. But just make sure you structure enough time to work on it rather than just in it. And that's what I have to say about that.
I like that. So would you say that building is a large part of that, of the start
The
of
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Building, I would say, is probably 80 to 90% of what you're doing in the beginning because that's what you're doing. You're just building and building, and it's easy. And then once your clients start rolling in and you have other stuff to do, it gets less and less, but you want to make sure you're still dedicating time to do the things that aren't paying you yet.
Yes. Yet. Keyword.
Let's see. We have a lot of people asking questions. Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
this is not grape juice we're drinking. This is wine. It is Syrah.
Speaking
Let's
of.
see. Oh, Jan wrote back. She said, I'm using EOS R and wanting to buy 135 for a while. To be honest, Gianni, you could buy a 135, adapt it for the R, and then if this other lens comes out, sell the 135 and get the RF version. The lenses really hold their value. So, you know, you could definitely do that, and then you've got what you want for a while. Dennis says in Spanish, and I'm going to translate it, how to choose potential clients for wedding photographs, Instagram or Facebook, or another alternative. So I guess how to choose My Spanish apparently isn't that good. Yeah, so I guess putting the photos either on Instagram or Facebook. You always have to look at your demographic. So if you are trying to market to the parents of the bride, put it on Facebook. Trying to market to the couple, most likely on Instagram. Yeah. Do you focus all your effort on Instagram?
All of it. Yeah.
All of it.
I share some to Facebook, but it's very secondary. And until I have, I'm trying to work towards courses, and until I do that, and I have a Facebook group, then I'll focus there. But otherwise, Instagram.
I think that's really, really smart. Really smart.
Thank you.
Jennifer Reekstraw says, can you speak to reviving your business? Ooh, I was building momentum in 2018, but due to a family tragedy, I am so sorry. In 2019, pretty much put my business on hold just to manage life and feel like I'm starting over. Jennifer, I'm so sorry. You know, that it's like, whether it's a family tragedy or having a baby or just getting married or dedicating time to, you know, other things, there's so much I can pull from your business, and it makes you feel like you're restarting all over again.
Yeah.
So from, you know, I don't want to give a pat answer for this. So I told the story about 2017 where I saw my business fail. Well, guess what, guys? Happened again this year. About 6 months ago, I'm going to be real honest, all right? About 6 months ago, I had 2 weddings booked for 2019 because all of my effort was going into speaking, was going into building courses, was going into YouTube, was going into everything else. And the pendulum kind of swung that way. So then it's not so much the other way. So I had to revive my business. What did I do? I completely rebranded myself, which was something I knew I wanted to do anyway. My business look was not escalating as my clients were. So rebranded my entire business, had a new social media strategy. If you look 6 months ago, I wasn't really posting that many pictures of myself. Now it's 1 every 6 or 9. So I wanted my face to be out there more. I went crazy on the networking. I joined WIPA. I went to meetings. I went to events, not the ones I was speaking at, because that's what happened. I would go to all these events, but I was speaking at them, so I wasn't networking or, you know, being involved in my own wedding industry community. So I went there. I made contacts. I made brochure magazines. I sent them out to all of the vendors that I knew. I made coffee dates. I sent gifts to people that had referred me weddings. Like, I did it all. And now I'm only 4 weddings away, just booking one today, from my goal for 2019.
That's awesome.
But I had to revive my business. I think we all have to revive our business all the time. So as much as your struggles are right now and like, what the heck, I don't think you just go through that in the beginning. I think you go through that throughout your entire career.
That's such a good reminder, though, because I mean, something that I could connect with that story that was just shared is that, I mean, what we just talked about at the very beginning, like I feel fresh out of college in a real way in business, and it has been really nice to feel a revival in some way, but in a new area, and yeah, so much of what you're saying makes sense to me and fits with my story, but it also is really nice to hear that that's a continual thing, because when I have been in this industry for 8 years, or this woman was just talking about, that revival feeling can feel really disheartening, because you're like, I've done this, I've been here, I've been successful before, what's happening? And so it's really nice to know that this is a continual thing. It's part of the growth process of business and career. And yeah, thank you for that perspective.
Yes.
That's really helpful.
Yeah. I don't want anyone to think, and I know it's really easy to do when you just look at the Instagram or the YouTube, or like you just see the success highlights. Like, I'm telling you, 5 months before I knew I was an explorer of light, I'm wondering if I'm having a wedding business anymore. Like, it happens, and you just gotta work your butt off and get back down into it. It's, you know, no one is rolling over and signing autographs. I mean, I'm sure someone is. Kim Kardashian's rolling over and signing autographs. I want to get to some of your the doubts or the struggle stories that you have. Ooh, what about that one? Tell me what it feels like when you are, you know, going on Instagram to post something, but then you go down the rabbit hole instead. Oh yeah. And you start seeing what everyone else is doing.
Comparison trap.
And you fall. Like, just tell me how you feel when you start going down the comparison rabbit hole.
Yeah. So I feel like that is where the flare-up of imposter complex comes up, and yeah, comparing myself to someone else makes me feel a lot like I need to be doing way more, and so then I feel like I'm burning the candle at both ends, and I'm going to burn out quicker than I'll ever create anything, and so it's really, really tough, and I feel like I've had to be really mindful of it, but the struggle for me, and it would be really interesting to hear if you have anything to say on this, is that a lot of the times it's people that I know and love and want to cheer, but because I know them, I'm like, I can do this. I can do this too. And it feels more tangible, and it's tricky because I want it to motivate me, but instead sometimes it makes me feel far behind.
Yeah, I'm right. I'm literally right there with you. And I've handled it a few different ways. Sometimes I compare myself, and for example, before I started really using Flash, I was at this creative rut in my photography where I was just like, okay, great, more natural light, more natural light, more natural light. And then I would look at my friend Alison Kada's work, or Michael Anthony, and it was just something extra and something I didn't know how to do. And my work doesn't look anything like theirs now, but I asked him, or I didn't actually say to Sal, like, hey, how are you doing this? I said, wow, I feel like such a piece of crap. Look at this gorgeous photo. And can we curse on YouTube? I feel like such a piece of shit lately because I feel like my work is just crap. And Sal pulls no punches. So he said, well, what the fuck are you doing about it? I'm like, yes, sir. So I did something about it. And then the next week, it was a styled shoot. I got to take a few more seconds to set something up and create an off-camera shot that I am still proud of today. So I've handled it in a victorious way like that.
I like that.
And then there's the other time where I've handled it by just being bitter. I've definitely been bitter at different clients and been mad that they're working at this hall and I'm not, or jealous, just wildly jealous. I think it's just human nature. But as far as solving that, I like to, when I'm kind of looking at everything that I don't have, it's always good to scroll back through your own Instagram feed or blog 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And as long as you've seen progress, you should be proud.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's what I think.
I'm going to go back and do that today.
You cannot sugarcoat the truth. Oh, this is one good from Aaron Daniel Films. How do you best tackle any anxiety? Opposed to comparing yourself negatively to others, like, do you have people or methods you look to for strength? You know, I think you need to answer this. So Courtney has dabbled in life coaching. So I feel like you have maybe a positive thing to say about that.
I got excited hearing the word anxiety for some reason.
Anxiety excites you.
It's a weird thing to say, but it's true.
It must be the wine. Oh my word. So tell me how exciting anxiety is, Courtney.
It's not exciting. I just was pumped hearing it because it's just so real, and I'm glad people are talking about it is more of where my excitement stems from. But yeah, I do empowerment coaching and empowerment photography because of this, because we know as photographers how nervous people get in front of the camera, how in your head you get, and you just can't really show up as your true self when that's the case. And so the same goes for us behind the camera too, is if we're just in our heads and we're not showing up as our true selves, we're not going to be so excited about the work, or, you know, whatever. It doesn't even have to be behind the camera. It can be on your Instagram too. And so for me, I mean, something just as simple as allowing yourself to take a minute and to have just a moment to breathe and have breath work as a part of your work journey is so important. And that can happen when you're on...
breath work.
Yes.
Teach me breath work.
Sure. Well, I'll put this down.
No, I'll hold that.
Yes. Double fisting. So one thing...
People just signing on are like, does she not share?
One thing that you can take from Reiki, and it won't give you Reiki, but it just is like a calming practice, this is called the first aid position. So you put your hand over your heart chakra, if you are aware of chakras, and your solar plexus. And this just helps you to feel calm immediately. You can just put your hands here, and you're already feeling a little bit more calm. And this also creates if you've ever heard of the gravity blanket, this is...
Yes.
it creates that feeling of like a hug or just a little bit of pressure, which helps anxiety to calm. And so if you do this, and if you feel comfortable, close your eyes for a second and just take a deep breath in. And if you want, think about how you'd like to feel on that breath in. And then take a deep breath out. And on that breath out, release what tension is coming up for you. Try to feel where it is in your body and allow it to come out on those breaths out. And even just one round of that would help.
I mean, I did it without my hands on my chakras, and now it's just like, oh yeah.
And breath.
And get it out.
Because it's just excitement and tension and anxiety, and we don't realize too that enthusiasm is on the same plane as, you know,
Yes.
the shadow side of it, and it does make you nervous. So we can be really excited about something, and all of a sudden we're like, why are we anxious? And that's why. So it's just allowing yourself to kind of come back a little bit to zero and know that you're okay, know that you have it and you're in reality with everyone else, and that you can move forward too. And just all it takes is a deep breath in.
I love that. So you're saying alcohol is not the answer.
Alcohol also does help. It helped me through getting plane rides are no longer scary for me.
Nice. For me, being just the kind of person I am, I always like to think of things logically. So I kind of like that you have the physical aspect really of it. I tend to have the logical aspect, and then I'm going to talk Charles into telling us about the emotional aspect in a second, because I know he has an answer for this. So I always think in my head, okay, logically, I'm nervous about this wedding. I'm having nightmares before a wedding day. But logically, even at my worst on a wedding day, these are probably the best quality photos that they've ever had taken of the two of them together. Even at my worst. Granted, that can be a big worst. But they're still probably going to love them, you know? And my big thing I tell myself is, I truly believe that I am the best photographer for these two. So that is my like logical sense. Now Charles, like I mentioned, had just gone to a Tony Robbins conference called Unleash the Power Within. So if I have seen anything about Tony Robbins, I know that he gets the emotional side like psyched up. So how?
He's gonna have to get
Is it like, I'll relay it. Is it like, do you want to have my mic? Do you want to come in here? You can just come in here. If you like come right here and talk to our guys, this is Charles.
Hey.
Here, you can hold the wine and feel
I'll hold the wine. Hi, everybody.
So tell me just about Tony Robbins and the way that he makes you emotionally get past things.
Okay, so with Tony Robbins, one of the things that I learned, and it was beyond mind-blowing to me, was he hits you in the emotion and kind of the spiritual, because he hits your physiology. He's huge on your emotions, your state is what he uses all the time, hence the hat I'm wearing is actually one of his stuff. He talks about the state, and by changing your physiology, similar to what you just did there, you can change your state. And so what he talks about is how, depending on what you're going through, I mean, it can get heavy with a lot of things. You have the leverage, you have the power to change what you're going through, how you're interpreting, how you're feeling it by changing your state. So that's why a lot of times when you see promo stuff or people sharing stuff from one of his events, you see dancing, you see all this craziness. The whole thing isn't dancing craziness, but the dancing and the craziness is how he's changing everybody's state. And so by, even like me, I'm not a big dancer, you've seen that thing.
I don't know, I've seen you at WPGI.
Well, the thing is, like, when you really immerse yourself in like that and cut loose, you're radically changing your state instantly. And what happens when you're doing that, you're around everybody else doing the same, you just feel better, like to the point where after, you mentioned Unleash Your Power Within, after 3 days of doing that, you just feel something different, like deep inside you that you haven't felt before just by changing your state.
I love it. Love it.
good.
That was way big of an answer than Aaron, right? Wanted, but
Well, yeah, let me give you that.
Thank you
glad he
very
liked it. Thanks, Charles.
Hey, guys.
This is Charles King, by the way. He does everything: photo,
He's
video, media.
At C King Photography on Instagram.
At C King Photography on Instagram. Cool. All right. Well, we have like 18 minutes left. I love wedding guests. I keep looking at someone's name is I love, and I keep starting with I love, and then saying whatever it is they commented. All right. I think I lost a lot of people there. So not lost people, but they kept typing, and I lost myself. All right. This is a good one. How do you promote yourself without money? This is from WRE_photography. I feel like, oh, there's so many answers to that. I feel like I gave a lot of answers to that with like the networking, social media. But when you're first starting out and you have no money to put towards that, like what are you doing?
For me, it actually, Instagram has been kind of amazing because there's a networking community, like you can find your people there. And so it's sort of e-networking, I've discovered. I've also discovered I'm sort of a networker. I like doing it. And so finding connections online has been really, really cool. So for me, it's connecting with those people, seeing what you can talk about, how you can uplift each other, and then in that way it sort of progresses your message. You might share each other's work and it's allowing your message to get out there, and that's not costing you a dime. It's actually enhancing you by enhancing a relationship as well as your
I
work.
love that.
Oh,
So
thank you.
collaborations where you are enhancing each other and building someone else up. And maybe that means you're offering your services for free to a relationship that you want to build.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
I am not saying that you should give your services away for free. I'm simply saying that if it's a good barter exchange for relationship building, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Assuming they're not abusing you. And
Yeah.
usually I offer, they don't ask.
Yeah.
So cool. I like this. All right. Oh, a lot of people are saying I'm learning so much. Fantastic.
And I have a question for you actually off of
Yeah.
something that you said, the logical aspect. So the emotional aspect, I clearly love to be in touch with, but the logical one I think is tricky for me because I think I do get too much in my head, and this is why I resonate so much with that question. And I think the head part, when it's in balance, is where you have that confidence and that self-belief. And you spoke so much about this, really believing in what you have to offer and allowing that to disseminate the anxiety. And so what would be something that you would say for someone reviving their business or starting out again to help them to remind themselves that they have something worth offering, that they can believe in themselves, and that it's worth putting their confidence forward even when they might not feel it yet?
You know, that's a really good question because there are two possibilities before I get to the how. You feel confident and what you have is worth offering, and you feel confident but what you have isn't worth offering. You know? Yeah. So I can tell you how to feel that, you know, you're confident. However, you know, sometimes it isn't the right field for you, but maybe it's not the right field for you yet, or maybe you don't have something that's quite there yet. So what I suggest doing is just looking at all your little milestones, kind of like we were talking about, you know, going back before, you know, looking at your photos or your work or product or whatever it is you're offering and seeing how much you've grown. But what you also could do logically, and I have this right here in my phone, I have two folders in my, well, I have a lot of albums, but I have one album that's called Rude, and then I have another one that's called Positive Feedback. So I collect things from clients, from other photographers that have given me affirmation, and I screenshot them and I keep them in here. So when I'm not feeling it logically, I have other people's logical words here that help build me up.
That's great.
And then if I'm like mad or something, I look at the rude comments. But
I like that it's entitled Rude. For some reason, that really is amazing to me.
It's rude.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. I like logical and practical things, but I find that that's what I search answers for the most, more than the emotional
reassurance.
side.
And I think that goes, you had mentioned in one of the pre-questions too, was, you know, how can I tell if what I'm doing is working?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I have to cough, so. How can I, you know, I'm working really hard, I'm doing what everybody says, I'm following all the YouTube tips, all the 6 things. I love one of your comments was like, how do I know if I should be like, you know, how many 5 steps to marketing plans should I really be listening to? Like,
How many classes is too many classes?
right, exactly. There's no answer to that because you can get something from anyone, from, you know, even me. Like, I get stuff from you, I get stuff from like my kids, you know, and obviously people who I look up to in different ways. So you can get little tidbits from everywhere. But how do you know that you're actually growing? I am not like a business plan person, but I think that you should have goals. You should have immediate goals, and by immediate I mean weekly maybe or daily, monthly goals, yearly goals, and then like long-term goals. Just so that you're pointed in the right direction. If you don't have goals, it's like driving without your GPS and hoping you're going to get there, or a map or whatever you use. Okay, when you don't know the way. Without that, you're blind. You don't know where you're going. So how do you know that you got there? So set goals for yourself, and you will feel that progression, that what you're doing is actually working because you're obtaining those goals. And there's plenty of YouTube videos in 5 ways to set goals so that you can achieve them.
Well, actually, that brings up an interesting question for me. As a business owner that has seen much success, what would you suggest for people that are starting their business? Like, because obviously we'll be attracted to different classes, but as a successful business owner, what would you suggest being the classes that you actually take in the beginning? Because I think that's actually really important to know.
What classes to take.
Or what to look for, yeah.
I think, and this is probably going to be backwards from what a lot of people do, you should be taking client experience and business workflow classes first. Those should be set up first, because if you take marketing classes first, you bring all these people in, you're only going to give them a bad experience, bad reviews, and it's not going to help you out. So I think workflow, customer experience should be first. Then the marketing classes to try to get people in, and then your skill set, whatever the skill set is, and advancing your actual skill. Because the other two things I think need to be in place first. You have your craft, at least, to a certain point, a certain skill level, so that it's acceptable or likable by potential clients. So that is okay for a minute.
Right.
And then you need to build the business. And I do think that throughout the rest of your career, it should remain that ratio. 2/3 business and marketing, 1/3 craft. That's how I would do it.
I love that, because it just sounds like such a solid foundation that you can set. I mean, it sounds like too, no matter where you are in your business, you can go back and reset that up.
Of course.
So that you can start from a
You're always going to update it. You're
Yeah.
always, it's like anything else. You're always going to keep doing that. But it's the creatives that I see that are just the most amazing creatives in the world, because they worked on their craft, but they're not getting clients in the door, or they're getting clients, but they're angry clients because they don't know how to handle them. That's a really good question. So,
That's a great answer.
And I know it's the opposite of what most people do, because anytime I put out a marketing video, it gets about 1/3 the views as the skill video, the photography video, or whatever it is. So I have marketing videos on this channel.
Check them out.
Go watch them. Oh, so good. Oh, good. My hubby is answering questions that are in the chat, which is pretty. This is pretty estrogen heavy here. That is the first time that I've ever been accused of.
We were just having a conversation about how girly it looks up here.
Oh, girly! It looks
so
up
I
here.
had to describe how downstairs in the studio it's a
Is the
complete
testosterone? Is the man cave? Oh, so good.
Robbie Keane was saying he'd bust me out of here.
Aw.
It got a little too estrogen.
Anyone who knows me knows I'm not mostly made of estrogen by any stretch of the imagination. All right, this is a good one. Charles Ong, or Charlie Song, NYC. Best way to get your first few paying, he said wedding clients, but let's just say clients.
Yeah, that's great.
How do you get your first few clients? Well, have you had clients in your business yet?
I have.
Where did the first 2 come from?
Referrals.
From?
Friends that knew my work, yeah.
Okay.
But that also is now post doing freelance and dipping my toe into the market. Am I super stoked to get it from someone I don't know at all? Yes, because I feel like then I feel like I've made it. So that question then I throw back to you is, how do you, and also I love referrals, please, all the friends send all the referrals, but what does it look like to get those first few clients that aren't from people that know you?
I will say my first few clients were also from people who knew me from dipping my toe in the industry and going to where the work was and freelancing for other people and going to conferences, being around those people. So one was from another photographer who was already booked the day of, and another one was from a DJ that referred me the client that didn't like me. Well, they liked me. They didn't like my pictures, and rightfully so. And right now, it's mostly referrals. But if it's not referrals, and it's that surprise one, like, ooh, you found me. It's search engine optimization. They find me on Google because of a lot of the work I do. Or it's, they just found me on Instagram or Pinterest, mostly social media. But that's also where I put my efforts. If I put my efforts into direct mail, then those answers would be direct mail.
True.
It's where you're putting your efforts down to. I think we have time for like one more topic.
Should we do search, or do you have one in mind?
I don't know. Go with yours. Go with something like that's going to help us end with hope.
Okay. Oh. Well, this is actually...
Or struggle or doubts for everyone.
Well, it's just something I'm interested in. So obviously we're very service-based, but what happens to start to scale business in terms of like passive income and going from service to product ratio? Fun one to end on, I think.
It is, because that does end on hope, because that's a very long-term goal. Like, okay, that's great. I'm trading time for money right now, but how can I trade my time for more money in the future or make money while I sleep? That's great. I'm going to go back to building your workflow first, right? So, you want to create passive income. There's a million ways to create passive income, but go back to your workflow. Think of what would it look like if you were creating passive income? How would the clients find you? Then how would they get to steps 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Mine is they find me through email, which if you click in the link below in the description here, you will find a free branding guide. So I can collect your email address, firstborn son, and preferably your DNA also. But really, it's a way for the people that want to be involved in your community, tribe, whatever kitschy word you want to use, to stay connected. And then you set up reoccurring emails. When you first sign up for my email thing, you get, I think it's 5 emails over the course of 9 days or something like that. It introduces them to a few different products. And now I have an email system of right now about 25,000 people that I can email when we're doing live stuff like this. By the way, I know that sounds like a large number, but the average people that open it, industry average, is about 10%. So you do the math. Luckily, my average is a little higher than that, but sounds like a lot. But so you have to have that workflow in place. Put it in place now while it's easy and easy to tweak, and then start getting people in it. So workflow, marketing, craft.
We're seeing a nice little thread through that. So
for Charles, who you may have seen before, he's looking at this subscription service. Can I talk about this? Yeah, okay. The subscription service that he's doing, his name is Charles King Media, and he has clients that sign up for a subscription service that provides them X number of media components, photo, video, graphic design, blah, 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 things that you can provide. Subscription model is awesome. And then he knows long-term he wants to be an operator, not necessarily the creator. So then you just build up enough subscriptions so you have one that you can hand over to somebody else, start training a team member, and then you hand over another subscription and another, and your workflow is already in place. You've already mastered that. Now it's a matter of just teaching it to somebody else. Maybe writing a manual, like Tony Robbins suggested. I will never write a manual. I did write a book, though. I did write a book.
You did.
I just got the first copy yesterday. So if you actually, if you go to Amazon and just type in Vanessa Joy, it's there. You'll find it. It's a lighting book, all about off-camera flash, and I will be at WPPI, by the way. There's going to be an advance 100 copies sent to WPPI. I'll be able to sign them for you there. I imagine they will be gone by then, but otherwise you can pre-order it for the now April 7th, and I apologize for those of you who ordered it thinking it would be February. It's out of my control. Don't yell at me. It's being shipped April 7th, and that should be a final date because I have the first advance copy in my hands. So. Yes, but I'm not writing a manual. But that's a really good question. And I think it's just all about just setting yourself up for whatever it is, that your goal is. Because ultimately, none of us want to trade time for money,
Yeah, you run out.
You run out. You run out of time. Well, you run out of money too, but time is much more
That's what I mean,
valuable.
yeah, energy, you
Energy,
can't,
all of it.
you only have so much to give, so thank you for
Oh, good. Thanks. Rob put the link in the book in there. Awesome. Cool.
the book, Explorer of Light. Can we celebrate these things also while we have wine in our hands? Because I feel like, yes.
I like that we were talking enough that I didn't have to refill my wine glass.
I
So we must
know.
not have been that bored. And I hope you guys weren't bored either. Weren't bored either. It's a half a glass of wine. I'm not tipsy at all. I've been talking all day long. We've made a ton of YouTube videos for you today, and actually for Adorama today. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. We're doing some cool things here, and I'm trying to make it super easy for photographers, a lot of photographer video stuff, but also for business owners as well. And if you go to my homepage, you can scroll down to the Breathe Your Passion playlist. That is all that I do for Adorama, and there's 85 videos on there right now. There's a ton of videos, so we have a lot of content. We're making a lot more. We're trying to do cool things, and this is one of the new cool things I've decided to try. Literally, we went out on Saturday, and it's Thursday. I don't have a lot of patience. I just do things if I think they're cool. But please tell me in the comments, in the chat, if you want to see more stuff like this. I feel like it's a video version of a podcast. And Rob keeps telling me I should have a podcast, and I'm like, no. And then I'm like, let's do a video.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
She just told me she didn't want to do a podcast, and now she's doing an hour-long program.
A Daniel Norton slur? I didn't Daniel Norton slur. Anyway, but guys, let me know if you want to see more of this stuff, because I'm creating this for you. And I'll drink wine with or without you, and I'm sure Courtney will too.
Done.
And we'll have these conversations with or without people. I had somebody respond to, I think it was my email, just kind of confirming what we're doing. It's that, you can have all the mentoring sessions you want, watch all the YouTube videos, but the truth is nothing's going to replace when you have a full day of production and you're with the team, and then you go out for drinks, or you go out for food or dinner. Like, that's when all the good ideas come. That's when all the awesome conversations come.
True. So true.
It really is. So if we do these, we'll probably make them after long days. So I can't put on my Vanessa Joy face. Like, it just is what it is right now. I'm gonna slur my words because I'm so tired, and you're gonna get like more real conversations. So if you like it, let me know. I'll find some other people to have wine with. So cool. Anything you want to add? Make sure you follow Courtney. Links are in the description below.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Just thank you for your time and for being an amazing friend and always inspiring me in business. You're phenomenal in all of the ways of business, and I really appreciate you just giving that gift to the world.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of you for being here.
Yeah, really been fun. So check out some other videos, subscribe, follow this chick, and we'll see you next time with Convos with Winos. So, cheers. Bye.
I did the drink before the wave.
No, I don't. Yeah, we'll